I don't need him. He's getting too old. I don't need him. Yeah. Okay. All right. We're actually getting to the part that it gets very interesting, but it's actually the part I don't like. So, and the reason I say I don't like it is because it's it's really open for interpretation at this point. I mean, when you start chapter 9, I mean, chapters 1 through 8, we can kind of see, and we can kind of say this is that, and kind of move on. When you get to chapter 9, it gets a little harder, and so that's where when we last Wednesday when we talked, we kind of went through chapter 8, and we talked about, you know, the first trumpet, the second trumpet, the third trumpet, the fourth trumpet, and we talked about different natural disasters that have happened throughout the years and how these could be just some of the same natural disasters, but just on a greater scale. Krakatoa, we talked about Krakatoa, the explosion of the volcano, and how there are volcanoes all over the earth, and you can have these volcanoes explode and cause exactly what would happen in trumpet number 4. And so, so when we went through those trumpets, but when we hit the 5th trumpet, trumpets 1, 2, 3, and 4 are judgments. But yet when we hit trumpets number 5 and 6, we get into a totally different realm of things that are not, I guess what you would call, that we can't explain natural. These are supernatural now. At this point, we start getting into the supernatural. And so, how many Marvel fans do I have? Okay, all right. So, really good Marvel fans do I have that know their Marvel movies? Okay, so yeah, all right. Well, if you've watched the Marvel movies, some of the same things we're going to talk about tonight are in the Marvel movies. Now, why are they in the Marvel movies? Because the writers, the Marvel movies are just scripts that man has written, okay? And so when I say man, I mean authors, they have taken knowledge that they know through books, through ancient history and things they know, and they have combined all this, and then biblical as well, and they write these movies based on things that will intrigue us. And so they write things that are out of the book of Revelation. They write things that are in historical Homer, the Iliad, some of the novels that we've had. I mean, the character Thor comes from ancient writings from Norway. You know, he's a Norseman, and all these characters, and so Loki and all these. So anyway, when we get into chapter 9, we start getting into how the supernatural and what I call the natural, that's us here on earth, the supernatural, which exists, we start seeing them kind of come together. Now, remember, we're not here. We're the church. We're gone. So we're not going to experience these things on earth. So last week we looked at Revelation chapter 8, and we talked about the first 4 trumpets. And then in Revelation chapter 8, verse 13, I looked and I heard an angel flying through the midst of heaven. Now, some translations say an eagle, but we're going to talk about translations here in a few minutes. But some translations will say I heard an eagle. This says I heard an angel flying through the midst. Let me just real quickly go to the King James. and I know this gets kind of complicated because we're going to have to deal with translations. Revelation chapter 8, verse 13. I wanted to see what the King James, I couldn't remember in my head. And behold, I heard an angel. Okay, so King James says angel. New King James says I heard an angel. Some translations will say eagle. Okay, so I will accept either one. I heard an eagle or an angel flying through the midst of heaven, saying, and we'll stop right there. Remember when I said when we get into Revelation how I didn't, there's some things you can be dogmatic about. There's some things you can say are right or wrong, and that's like, how do we get to heaven? Through Jesus. There's no other way. I can't say, well, there might be another way over here. No, there's only one way, and that's through Christ. So when I get to Revelation, and when some translation will say, I saw an eagle and I saw an angel, I can't say with 100% assurity, no, it's an angel. It's not an eagle. I mean, it could be an eagle. I can take either one. But they're flying through the midst of heaven, saying with a loud voice, woe, 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 3 woes, to the inhabitants of earth, because the remaining blast of the trumpet of the 3 angels who are about to sound. So last week we talked about the 4 trumpets. Now the 3 trumpets, they've signified as being different. These 3 they're different than the first 4. The first 4 were all natural calamities that could happen on earth. These next 3 are going to be supernatural. They're going to be things that exist in the supernatural realm. Think about your Marvel movies that really exist. They're not just Marvel movies. They really exist. So he gives us 3 woes. Woe, woe, woe. Throughout the New Testament, Isaiah uses woes. Ezekiel uses the word woes. If you want an actual translation to the word in today's modern English, it would be more like terror. 3 terrors. Like the Tower of Terror. Being terrified. It's terrors. 3 terrors. It's kind of interesting that Jesus also used the word woe. And if you turn to, and we'll look at Matthew chapter 23, because I think it probably has something, well, I know it does, something to do when we start talking about Revelation, because Revelation is kind of a culmination of the whole Bible. But when you get to Matthew chapter 23, and you start in verse 13, Jesus says, but woe to you, scribes and Pharisees. Now, trivia question. How many woes is Jesus going to give us? Just in Matthew chapter 23. No, not 1. But that's a good guess. 3 would be a good guess. But what's the other number that would be the best guess? 7. Yeah. 7. Jesus is going to give us 7 woes. 7 in verse 13. Woe to you, scribes and Pharisees, hypocrites, for you shut up the kingdom of heaven against men, for you will neither go in yourselves, nor will you allow those who are entering with you. So I think these woes are very important, because I think they're kind of indicative to the modern church age. So he says you're going to shut up. That means, I think that's 2 ways. That's number 1 for us, for those that fail to share, the gospel, fail to share the kingdom, because the Pharisees, they had a false, a false sense of religion. It was a false religion. And he said, you'll neither go in yourselves, or you're not allowing other people to go in. Verse 14, woe to you, scribes and Pharisees, for you devour widows' houses, for a pretense making long prayers. Therefore you will receive greater. In other words, they showed themselves to be religious, but yet would do nothing to help the poor. Okay? So is a woe. 15, woe. You travel land and sea to win one proselyte, and when he is won, you make him twice as much the son of hell as yourselves. In other words, they'll go, and I hate to, this may sound negative when I say this, but we'll spend thousands and thousands of dollars to try to win somebody way over here, when yet we've got a whole sea of people right here that we can win. And when you win that one, you leave him alone. You just, he has no support. He or she has no support. You understand what I'm saying? And I don't want to sound negative in the fact that we shouldn't give to missions and we shouldn't do this. Right. But yet we have a whole mission field right here in front of our eyes. And that's one of Jesus's woe. Woe to you, blind guides! Whoever swears by the temple, it is nothing, but whoever swears by the gold of the temple is obligated to perform. This is money. Where we put money before anything else. And, we're all guilty of somewhat of that. Yeah, just the worship of money. Verse 23, woe to you, for you pay tithe on a mint and anise and cumin, and have neglected the weightier matters of the law, justice, mercy, and faith. What this means is that the Pharisees they knew that a tenth of your income was to go for a tithe. The same way today, we're supposed to give a tenth of our income. What they would do is, like, if their little herb garden made some herbs, they would take 90% of the herbs and give 10% of it. And they would be so meticulous in their 10% that they would forget about everything else. They were just so concentrated on giving that one little 10%. Well, and what Jesus said, really, that don't matter. You need to look at the big picture here. Woe to you, scribes and Pharisees, hypocrites! You cleanse the outside of the cup and dish, but inside are full of exhortation and self-indulgence. In other words, you look good on the outside, but inside your life is a mess. You look good to everybody else, but your life's a mess. And then woe to you, scribes and Pharisees, hypocrites! Because you build the tombs of the prophets and adorn the monuments of the righteous, and say, if we had lived in the days of our fathers, we would have not been partakers of them in the blood of our prophets. In other words, we look back in history and say, well, if we had lived in that day, we'd have done something different. Well, why are we not doing something different in our day? Does that make sense? You look back. And so in other words, Jesus is saying, you forget your history, and we do that. Look at our nation right now. We just forget our history, and we try to, form a new history. We forget what we've already been through. And that's what Jesus is saying. Woe to you that forget. So when you get to chapter 8, verse 13, when we're talking about the woes, I think Jesus is just kind of saying the woes are judgments on the people that never accepted Christ, or on the people that have turned their back on God. And so this is the woes. And now again, we're gone. If we've accepted Christ, we're out of here. We're not going to experience this. But for those that haven't accepted him, these are the woes. So that's the woes. So when we get to chapter 9, we've got to start looking at the supernatural. Now, and I use that word supernatural. We've got to start looking at the spiritual, if you will, because there are things that exist beyond us physically. And two of those things are what we call angels and demons. And so angels exist, demons exist. And there's this place called, and it's mentioned throughout the Bible, it's called in some places Hades, in some places the bottomless pit, some places the abyss. So we got to realize that this place really exists. Okay, so it exists. Now, does it exist in the supernatural form, or does it physically exist in the earth? And that's something we can debate, whether it's a physical or whether it's in a spiritual realm. And I feel kind of, silly sometimes talking about another realm. It sounds like a Marvel movie, right? What happened in what was the very first Marvel? It was the Avengers. Those that are Marvel people know it was the Avengers. And so what happened in the Avengers is that Loki wanted to open up this realm to release these creatures that would come and take over the earth so he could reign. Now, does that not sound just like the Bible? Yeah, it sounds like an Antichrist that wants to send in the beast in chapter 9 so that he can reign. There's even a point where in Germany, he's standing above this people and he says, "Oh yeah, y'all people, y'all are natural in this bowed position. This is what y'all want. Y'all want submission. Y'all want to live under." Now, the writers of this movie, they obviously know the Bible. And so they use this to kind of give a sense of to what could happen in the future. So we have to understand that there is this place called the abyss or the bottomless pit. And we have scriptures that talk about it. I think we've talked about it in Luke chapter 8 when Jesus goes over to the area of the Gerasenes. He's on the other side of the Galilee, and so he encounters this man that has these demons, and the demons name themselves as Legion because they are many, and they beg Jesus not to put them into the abyss. And so Jesus doesn't. He sends them into a herd of swine, and the herd of swine run into the water. In Peter, and I'll read these real quick because Peter gives us, we get a little snapshot of the abyss in 2 Peter chapter 2. I'm not boring you, am I? Y'all bored? Okay. I know it gets kind of complicated. I'm sorry, but that's just where we're at. We're in chapter 9. The other stuff, through chapter 8, we can kind of piece it together with things we know and through history and kind of identify this. But when you hit chapter 9, we now start hitting the supernatural. We start hitting the second half of the tribulation. We start hitting the part what's called, the day of judgment, the day of God's wrath. This is the stuff that's been talked about in Ezekiel chapter 38 and Joel chapter 2 and Amos chapter 7 and all these places. This is what's all been described. So in 2 Peter chapter 2 verse 4, "For if God did not spare the angels who sinned, but cast them down to hell." Now hell is also another word for the abyss. "And delivered them into chains of darkness to be reserved for judgment, and did not spare the ancient world, but saved Noah, one of 8 people, a preacher of righteousness, bringing in the flood on the world of the ungodly." So Peter's talks about a place where these angels are chained. They're chained. Jude, if we look at in Jude verse 5, there's only fallen angels. Yeah. Now, not all angels are chained. Not all angels are in the abyss. Obviously, not all angels are in the abyss, because when Jesus encountered those demons, when I say angels, we call the bad ones demons, and we call the good ones angels. they're all God's creation. They're all technically angels, but we just separate the fallen ones from the ones that did not fall. In Jude, verses 5 through 7, but I want to remind you, though you once knew this, that the Lord, having saved the people out of the land of Egypt, afterward destroyed those who did not believe. And the angels, again we're using the word angels, who did not keep their proper domain, but left their own abode, he has reserved in everlasting chains under darkness for the judgment of the great day. Okay? For those that wandered in late. I was just telling them that when we get to Revelation chapter 9, 1 through 8, we've kind of been able to kind of say, this is this, this is this, this is that. When you hit Revelation chapter 9, we enter the supernatural or the spiritual realm, or, you know, and so we have to, and so all I'm doing right now is just establishing the fact that there is a supernatural, there is a, when I say supernatural, there is a spirit, there is a realm outside of us humans. There's another dimension, if you want to call it a dimension. Now, some will argue, and we'll get in that just a minute, that the abyss is physical, that it's under the earth. That if you go to the center of the earth, the abyss literally translate bottomless pit. So if you go to the core of the earth, well, there's only one way up, you know. And so there are those that argue that the abyss is really the core of the earth, and it's physical. Then there are those that argue that what we're talking about here, the supernatural world, the spiritual world, the other realm is not physical, but it's another realm. But when you open that other realm, it becomes physical. And again, I talked about them because I can relate it to the Marvel movies, you know, like when they open up the portal and these things come out, well, they're in another realm, so they're not physical. But yet when you opened up the portal, they come out and now they're physical. They were these physical things that come and was destroying New York City. You remember the movie? Well, that's true. Okay. All right. Well, I mean, so I'm just saying that these writers of these movies, they understand the book of Revelation and they understand things so that they can, when they write these, it all kind of can make sense.
Well, even J.R. Tolkien and C.S. Lewis, J.R. Tolkien's Lord of the Rings.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, God broadened their minds. You know,
right.
They were both Christian.
Mm-hmm. C.S. Lewis, the same way. You know, we have the land of Narnia. You know, and so you have the land of Narnia where you have, a different realm, and so. And they write these things as fiction, but yet as reality as well. So I guess that's what I'm saying. When we hit chapter 9, that's where we're getting. We're getting into the where we're starting to talk about things that are beyond just physical. So even when you go to Ephesians, and again, the Bible doesn't have a lot to say about this supernatural realm, but some to say about it. So you have to be careful to try to not read too much into it, but just kind of just stay with what the Bible says. So if you stay with what the Bible says, we know there's an abyss. We know that there's angels there, and demons, call them angels, demons, whatever you want to call them. We know that they're there. We know that they're chained. And we also know that Jesus knows is there. Because when you go to Ephesians chapter 4, Paul gives us just a slight glimpse. And again, it's just a small little glimpse into it. Ephesians chapter 4, therefore he says, when he descended on high, he led captive and gave gifts to men. Now he's quoting a psalm there. Now this, he ascended. What does it mean? But he also first descended into the lower parts of the earth. This is where some people get that it's actually physical, not necessarily in another realm, that it exists under our earth today. He who descended is also the one who ascended far above all the heavens that he might fill all things. This is talking about Jesus. Peter also tells us that Jesus went to, the underworld and preached to those in the underworld. And so here, Paul's given us a little sense that Jesus is also the master, or we'll see this in a minute, but the keys. Jesus has the keys to the underworld. I mean, we know that. What was it? Revelation. Right. Is it Revelation 3? I got it wrote down somewhere, but I'll have to. Oh. Oops.
It's just me.
Oh, just you. Oh, it wasn't you calling me though.
No.
I was looking for it in. It's in Revelation chapter 3 when Jesus says, no, it's not chapter 3. It's got to be 1. Okay, it's Revelation chapter 1 when we're first introduced, when John's first describing everything. He says in Revelation 1:18, this is Jesus talking, I am he who lives, who was dead, and behold, I am alive forevermore. Amen. I have the keys of Hades and death. And then he tells John, write the things which you have seen, things that's in the past, the things which are, things that are now for John and for us, the church age, and the things which will soon take place, So that's the things that we're talking about now that's going to take place in the future. So John was saying, you're going to write these things that already happened, the things that's going to happen through the church age, that's us, and then that's things that are going to happen in the future. So that's the keys. So if we can kind of all realize that there is another realm, that there are angels, that there are demons, that these are all real characters, that there is a abyss. Think about when Jesus talked about the rich man and Lazarus. Where did the rich man go? To the place of torment. Not everlasting torment, not the lake of fire, not that will take place in the final judgment, but is in torment. Where was Lazarus? Abraham's bosom. What could they do? They could see each other. Okay, so these places exist. Now, whether they exist in a realm, if you will, or whether they exist physically, that's up for us to debate. And and to be honest, I'm not sure I can't just say, yeah, it's physical, yeah, it's another realm. I think there's kind of evidence that says it could be either. So I don't get real dogmatic in it.
I'm not hard. I think it's love. I think it's another round of this.
That's possible too.
That
She lays out a third option.
it's because,
Physical extra realm.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like, in a way, we're supernatural. We have a body, we have a soul.
We have a spirit. Yeah.
And so you can't see the reasoning and thinking and all the things that goes on in our brain and all the semantics and everything. I know I know that's physical, but our spirit is different.
Right, spirit's different.
It's different, you know.
But does our
We're
spirit,
tied here.
but when we die, does our spirit go to a physical place or to a,
I think it goes with
okay, or to another realm? Yeah, again, you know, it's open for debate.
this. What's the difference in a realm and a physical place?
Oh, now you're getting really complicated here.
I like that.
Well, take for example, when Paul said he saw the third heaven,
Yeah,
did he see another realm? Did he see
It's
an
another-
actual physical place?
another physical place.
I think it's a physical
But maybe-
place in another realm.
But well, there you go. That was my answer. It's a physical place in another realm.
Here's what Forrest Gump would say, a little bit of both.
Yeah.
Yes, I
So-
think it's a physical place, but it's another realm.
And I
It's
know this,
not what we know.
and I know this
There's
sounds
a heaven and a new earth.
superstitious and crazy, you know, and but this is real. I mean, it is really real. So it's that the book of Revelation wouldn't be there if it wasn't for us to discuss.
Right.
Okay.
Have you ever had a supernatural experience?
I mean, I've had some kind of crazy dreams before that just kind of, but I don't know. And I know people that have said they've had some kind of out of body experience where they
I'm
seen
not
things.
talking about that. I mean, it's just something that, in the light of everything, didn't make sense to me when it happened. It's like it was out of character for anything that had ever happened.
Unexplained.
Unexplainable.
I don't know that I've ever experienced that, but I mean, but I can see how that could be a possibility for a lot of people. So I guess what I'm getting to here, I haven't even read the first verse of chapter 9 yet, but what I'm trying to do is just establish a fact that there are angels, there are demons, there is a bottomless pit or abyss or whatever you want to call it, whether it's physical or supernatural, it all exists. And that these demons or angels exist physically. What come to Mary? When we say a ghost, what do you think of when you think of ghost? A white sheet with two little, you know,
I just think of a spirit.
you think of a spirit. You think of something that you can't reach out and grab. You think of Casper, you know, I mean, you can't reach out and grab him. But yet, when the angels appeared to Mary and Joseph, what were they?
They were in physical form.
They were physical.
But they were spiritual
They were-
beings.
They were spiritual beings, but in physical form.
Look at Sodom and Gomorrah.
I was just about to go to Genesis chapter 19.
They
Genesis chapter.
definitely were physical.
They were physical.
And they was,
Yeah, but they were physical. Okay, so I think angels can take, or I know they can take physical forms.
a
So,
lot like in the sense that Jesus manifested as a human being.
right. I mean,
When he really wasn't,
exactly.
these angels can manifest as a human being, even though they're really not.
I was going to use the example of Abraham when the visitors came to him and
Right.
told. However, it says the Lord came to him, and there were three people.
Uh-huh.
So what was that? Father, Son, Holy Spirit. Yeah. So those weren't really angels when that happened. Okay. But at Sodom and Gomorrah, we got angels.
Well, look at the angel that wrestled with
The angels,
Jacob. I
Jacob.
mean, that was.
What-
He had to be physical if he wrestled.
And I don't have the verse in front of me, but what did the guy that owned the threshing floor when David's punishment was happening? What did that guy see? He saw the angel fixing to take his sword and strike Jerusalem, and then God relented and said, "That's enough."
Now, there
So-
are times too that an angel will appear and not be in physical form,
Yes.
like in the fiery furnace and the lion's den and things like that.
And what did Balaam's donkey see?
Yeah, he saw it.
He saw something.
Right.
Balaam didn't see it, but the donkey saw it.
And in Hebrews, it says, don't forget to show hospitality to strangers, for you doing so that show hospitality to God.
Angels unaware. Right. So the point of this is to say that angels are can be physical. So can demons be physical as well? They can. Okay, we can get through this. We'll get through this one little bit right here. I'm going to read Revelation because if we've established that there is a realm or a physical place called the abyss, and we've established that angels are real, they can be physical, demons are real, they can be physical. If we've established all of that, we can read Revelation chapter 9. Then the fifth angel sounded, and I saw a star, and I won't have a chance to get into we won't get into this part tonight. When I read the King James, when I'm reading the New King James, then the fifth angel sounded, and I saw a star fallen from heaven to earth. Okay, now we'll discuss this next time. Real quickly, let's see here. I'm in Revelation chapter 9. I'm going to go to different translations because we're going to have to deal with translations. Once we start getting into chapter 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, we got to start dealing with translations a little bit. So King James is the gold standard. We've used it, but we know there's errors in the King James. I mean, we know we go back into Kings when it talks about 300,000 men. We've kind of proved that, it was really 30,000 that the translators just made an error and never went back and cleaned it up. And so it's still in the King James Version, okay? Yeah, exactly. And we realize that. Is the Bible wrong? No, because it was written in the Hebrew. It's the translators just didn't get it right the first time. Yeah, it's just, simple. We've established that. So when you read the first chapter, the New King James, then the fifth angel sounded, and I saw a star fallen, past tense. You go to the King James, and the fifth angel sounded, and I saw a star fall, present tense. Let's just grab, I use the Common English a lot of time. Then the fifth angel blew his trumpet, and I saw a star that had fallen, past tense. Let's just go to the NIV. King James, New King James, NIV, probably the three most popular. And the fifth angel sounded his trumpet, and I saw a star that had fallen. What did you say? ESV. Well, let's just go look at ESV. I've not looked at ESV. ESV. That's the beauty of these things. And the fifth angel blew his trumpet, and I saw a star fallen. Past tense.
Now,
Yeah.
you get into tense and translations from other languages, in this case, probably the Greek.
Yep.
For example, I can see something that's fallen in the present tense.
Yes. I understand what you're saying.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Right.
And I can see something that what were some of the other ones?
Had fallen. Yeah.
Yeah, I can see something that has
Had
fallen,
fallen.
but be in the present tense that I'm seeing it.
Right. I understand what you're saying. I guess what I'm
So
going
they're all saying kind of the same thing.
all saying kind of the same thing. It's just you will have some, again, we're in Revelation here. So you've got some that are dogmatic that this is this, this is this. So there are some that say, and John saw the star fall. And then when you look at most translation, he saw a star that had already fallen. Very important. We're going to have to deal with that. Okay. So, and you're going to have to land on which side
Well, when had it fallen? Like there in the moment?
Well, again, you got this side that believes this and this side that believes that. So,
Because if it was right in the moment, then it's basically the same thing.
So we'll deal with that. That's not, like I said, we got to deal with that. But
If he saw it falling, he was experiencing that time.
right. But if it had already fallen, he just said, this had already fallen, but I saw it. So we'll deal with that. But I just say that's where we get into translations when we start getting into. That's why I said Revelation is tough.
I'm already on that side of it. It's not falling.
Yeah, it had fallen.
Somehow
I'm on the side of its past tense, fallen.
Somehow I knew that.
Yeah, I'm on the side of past tense. It had fallen.
Because he's seen a vision. and
Right.
This is visionary.
Yes,
And so he's seeing things.
and I agree with
happen.
that. But I'm just saying that there's others that will not agree with you that will say that he saw it.
I don't
At that-
know how important it is.
Okay, well, it is kind of important on identifying what that star is. Okay, so it will get a kind of important. So it depends on whether you're Seventh-day Adventist or Baptist. You know? So,
I hope I'm on the right side.
all right, you're on the Baptist side right now. So Baptist and others. So, so I'm just saying that that one word right there causes a lot of controversy. Okay, but we're going to skip over it for right now. We're skipping over it. And I saw a star falling from heaven to earth, and to him was given the key of the bottomless pit. Oop, who had the keys before? Jesus, but not no more. But they're given to him. He didn't take them away. They're given. All right. So just hang on to that. That's why it's so hard to do this. And he opened the bottomless pit, and smoke arose out of the pit like smoke of a great furnace. So the sun and the air were darkened because of the smoke of the pit. This is those that will think this is physical because of what's happening here. Then out of the smoke, locusts came up on the earth. I'll just tell you they're not locusts, but we'll get into that next week. And to them was given power, as the scorpion of the earth hath power. They were commanded not to harm the grass of the earth, because locusts eat grass, but these don't eat grass, or any green thing, or any tree, but only those men who did not have the seal of God on the forehead. And they were not given authority to kill them, but to torment them. What do demons normally do? Torment. They don't kill. They just torment. They like to torment. They don't like to kill. Because if they kill, they can't torment no more. So, obviously, I've told you, I believe these are demons and not locusts. And they were given authority to kill them, but not to kill them, but to torment them for 5 months. Their torment was like the torment of a scorpion when it strikes a man. In those days, men will seek death, and they will not find it. They will desire to die, and death will flee from them. Think about Legion and when Jesus took the demons out of the man from Garnacia. They didn't kill him; they just tormented him. Yeah. Well, he's trying to describe it, but yeah, in a amount, and we'll get to it. Locust is really just symbolic for God's judgment. Yeah, allegorical, and we're going to see that. The shape of the locust was like horses prepared for battle. On their heads were crowns of something like gold, you're going to see John using the word like here a lot. And their faces were like the faces of men. They had hair like women's hair. Their teeth were like teeth of the lion's teeth. And they had breastplates like breastplates of iron. And the sounds of their wings was like the sounds of chariots with many horses running to battle. They had tails like scorpions, and their sting in their tails. Their power was to hurt men 5 months, as they had a king over them, the angel of the bottomless pit, whose name is in Hebrew Abaddon, but in Greek he has the name Apollon. One woe is past, but behold, two more woes are coming after these things. So I just read that just real briefly
He was seeing things that he didn't know what they were. They were like. If I never saw an elephant, I said, well, it's big.
It's big, got this big long thing coming out of its
Yeah.
got this big long thing coming out of its mouth, got a little bitty something on the butt,
He saw something he didn't know what it were, and he was trying to describe them in language.
Right. And I'm just going to fast forward, and we're going to talk about a lot of this. These are demons. They're coming out of Abusa. They're coming out of the abyss. Satan has been given, and I truly think that Jesus hands Satan the keys. Satan opens it up. They've come out, and now they are going to terrorize all of those who have not accepted Christ during the tribulation. And they're going to want to die. Yeah. Well, basically, you're right. man wants their own system of government, and okay, you want your own system? Here it is. You can have it. You want Satan? You want a godless world? You want to take God out of everything? Okay, here you go. You can have it.
You want a cat? Here's salt.
Here you go. I'm going to read. We're not going to get into some really, really interesting stuff tonight because I just kind of read that to give you a flavor. But let's back up 900 years. Okay, we're going to back up. We're just going to back up 900 years. Let's see. Do I have it marked? I don't have it marked. The book of Joel. Yeah, 8. Actually, I got it wrote down. Joel prophesied from 835 to 798. So now remember, John wrote this probably in like 90. So you're something less than 900 years previous. Joel wrote this. So I guess my point is Joel has not read Revelation. He's 900 years before Revelation. Blow the trumpet in Zion and sound an alarm in my holy mountain. Let all the inhabitants of the land tremble, for the day of the Lord is coming, for it is at hand. A day of darkness and gloominess, a day of clouds, a thick darkness, like the morning clouds spread over the mountains. A people come, great and strong, the like of whom has never been. Nor will there ever be any such after them, even for any successive generation. A fire devours before them, and behold them, flames burn. What did we talk about last week? We talked about, the fire, the hail, everything that we talked about last week. The land is like the Garden of Eden before them, and behind them desolate wilderness. Surely nothing shall escape them. Their appearance is like that of a horse. Oh, wait a minute. What did he say? The locust was like horses prepared for battle. Oh, okay. See, and they're swift steeds, so they run with a noise like chariots. What did he say? And I got to find it here. The scorpions, the locust horse battle, heads were crowned gold, faces like they. And the sound of their wings was like the sounds of chariots. Wow, same thing. Over mountaintops they leaped. They're fast. The noise of the flaming fire that devours the stubble, like the strong people set in battle array. Before the people writher in pain. Scorpion sting, maybe, So here the Joel is telling us they do not push one another. Locusts, they're in column array. Everyone marches in his own column. They lunge between the weapons. They are not cut down. They run to and fro in the city. They run on the wall. They climb onto the houses. They enter at the windows like a thief. The earth quakes before them. The heavens rumble. The sun and the moon grow dark. What did we talk about in chapter 8? These same exact things. The Lord gives voice before his army, for his camp is very great. For the strong is the one who executes his word. For the day of the Lord is great and very terrible. Who can endure it? And that's the same thing that we're going to be told here, is that who can survive this unless God shortens the days? So I'll have to stop right there. Sorry. We're going to get in some very interesting thing. There is, I'll let y'all go do your own research on this, but there are scientists today, and there's actually in Switzerland, a whole community that is seeking out this. It's I'll let y'all go do some research on it, but it's called the CRN. Anybody ever heard of the CRN? If you go to their website, I have their website pulled up right here. And one of the things that's on their website, now this is funded by even our government. It's funded by governments throughout the world. This is, I'm not sure exactly what CRN stands for, but they have the world's largest particle collider.
Yeah, they have the
Yeah.
thing that does the loop.
Yes.
at a certain speed.
Yes.
So
Yeah.
you can split atoms and
The
particles.
split atom, collide particles, and I'm on
Biggest
the
one in the world.
biggest one in the world, and it's 300, and it's
CRN.
300 feet underground,
Yeah, and it's huge.
and it's huge.
It's like 2 miles in diameter.
It's the world's largest machine.
Yeah.
Most people don't even know it exists, but it's not hidden from the public, and it's funded by our government and the governments of Europe, and it's
They're thinking about energy sources of what
that's a lot of what they think about, but they're also interested in the spiritual realm. Here, I'm on their website.
they did a movie on that.
Oh, there probably is. I'm on their website. Countdown to Dark Matter Day.
Yep,
They're looking for the dark matter.
yes. Which is usually in a movie, some little tiny thing.
Yeah.
And if it
Okay.
touches if
Who-
it touches the side of the thing, it blows up.
All right, who's got a smartphone on them right now? So type in CRN, just Google it right now and go to their homepage. And when you get to their homepage, tell me what their symbol is. You'll see their symbol right there.
Yeah, didn't they just recently do something for the first time ever? So I'm trying to remember what it was.
Has anybody got it pulled up yet? Has anybody got their? It's CRN. No, I'm sorry. CERN. I apologize.
CERN.
Sorry, CERN. CERN. Just Google that and go to
One
their.
little letter.
Yeah,
One extra
sorry.
zero back in Kings.
Yeah. CERN. Go to their homepage. Yeah, their home. Do you see their little symbol up there? What does it look like? Look at it close. See if you don't see 3 6s in there.
Oh, yeah,
You do, don't you?
you could, yeah.
Is that not some kind of coincidence?
Yeah, it is.
And when you go to their facility, they've got a statue to the Hindu god. What's it?
With all the hands.
The one with all the hands. It's the Hindu god Shiva,
You got like 1,000 hands.
who translates destroyer.
Right.
What did we just get through reading? They had a king over them, the angel of the bottomless pit, whose name is in Hebrew Abaddon, but in Greek his name is Apollon, which is the destroyer. That's what their statue at when you walk in their building, that's their statue, and they have 666 as their symbol. Now that's not a coincidence. These people know what they're doing. Now, there may be people working for them that don't have a clue. But what they're searching for is this supernatural. They're trying to tie into this supernatural that they know exists. Here's my theory, okay? This is just my theory, and y'all may call me crazy. Does Satan know the Bible?
Oh, yeah.
Oh yeah.
Better we do.
Oh yeah. Satan knows the Bible. So if Satan can get men to open the abyss before the Bible says that Jesus hands him the keys, wouldn't Satan kind of one up God? Just thinking. Because Satan, he knows the Bible, he knows everything so far has come true, but his ultimate goal is to be above God. Because that's what he wanted.
I heard a message to this today, Kim Keller, I guess you've heard of him. From a writer, author, preacher. And he was talking about spirituality. He said up into the 80s, he said people live in people, well, in the early years, before 80s, up to the 40s, a lot of times you met because of the social status of the church. And then from the 40s on up to the 80s, that 40 years, people were living in a moralistic society. They weren't necessarily spiritual, all of them. They were not Christian, but they saw the benefits of a moral society. And he said, now we're living in a spiritual.
Mhm.
And he said the shift has changed.
Mhm.
He said, you go in California, you go in New York, you go in, you know, all the places. He said, everybody is seeking for something.
Mhm.
They're seeking for spiritual, not God in that sense, but he said
Correct.
they're emptier than
Right.
they've ever been.
Right.
So they've got to find answers.
Right.
And so they're looking for the spiritual, not.
Right. And again, there may be some scientists that work for this group that don't
Get the connection.
get the connection, but that's really what's happening here. And the Bible clearly tells us, you know, the world is going to get worse. Now, we may look at the world and say, man, I've got it so much better. I mean, I can look back when I was a kid. I'm like, man, I've got it so much better than I had it when I was a kid. I might, the Bible tells us we're going to increase in knowledge. We're going to increase in technology. We're going to increase in knowledge. But spiritually, we're on a decline. Our knowledge is increasing.
And the vast majority of scientists are atheistic at least.
Exactly. And so
Not outright agnostic.
we see our moral society declining, but the Bible tells us that's what's going to happen. We're going to decline, but yet our knowledge is going to increase. I mean, we're getting smarter. I mean, brain-wise, but we're morally in a decline.
And that's what Tim Keller
Yeah.
said. He said that, you know, the people on the surface could seem more spiritual.
We could seem better. Yeah, we seem better off, but yet morally, yeah, we're not. So anyway, y'all can do some reading on that CRN if you want to. CERN. Sorry.
So, you know, I think
CRN. I'm sorry, I told y'all off. It's CERN. Yeah.
Sir,
CERN to me is just CRN. You know, but I think I was thinking CNN.
But I think it's better. You know, I mean, financially, I have more. I have a better opportunity. I mean, if I want something, I get it. And I didn't, it wasn't that I went hungry before, but we were just, you know, my dad was preaching, didn't get paid for it. He worked in coal mines and carpentry work and all the things, you know. I had a lot of security. I knew what it was going to be, what it was going to be, but it's actually, I feel the sense of where it's not there.
Mm-hmm.
Because
Right.
there's such a disconnect. And then, you know, Ken Ham, he's the guy that's part of the art
Mm-hmm.
and the Creation Museum. And he's got out some good books and even some good literature. He says the reason why that we're losing our children is because they live in a godless society.
Mm-hmm.
From the time, you know, when I was in school, and maybe even some of y'all, we had Bible readings, we had prayer.
We said the Pledge of Allegiance, and we had prayer before we went to class.
Well, and the collegiate system now is completely right wing.
But
Completely. There's no.
but again,
Let's go to religious knowledge.
that's kind of what we're
Or left wing, I'm sorry.
yeah
But
left.
I think we need